Adding a negative number. When we add a negative number, it's the same as subtracting its opposite. So, if we consider 2 plus negative 3, I'll put parentheses around it so it's a bit clearer. So 2 plus negative 3. I'm adding a negative, so I subtract the opposite. I still start at 2, and instead of adding, I'm going to subtract. And what I have to subtract is the opposite of minus 3. The opposite of minus 3 is 3. So really what I'm doing is 2 take away 3. So I'll start at 2, and then I'm going to take away 3. 1, 2, 3. So starting at 2, taking away 3 lands at minus 1. So I get minus 1. Is it different if I start with a negative number? So let's start with negative 3. And I will add negative 1. So how does that make that different? We start with minus 3 as the last time. Instead of adding a negative, I subtract the opposite. It's the same process. I'm not going to add the negative, I'm going to subtract the opposite. The opposite of minus 1 is 1. So I start at minus 3 and I go down 1. So there's minus 3, take away 1 takes me down to minus 4. So when I add a negative, I subtract the opposite. What happens if I'm going to subtract a negative? If I subtract a negative, then what I'm going to do is to add the opposite. So let's start with 1 minus negative 4. So 1 take away negative 4. I'm subtracting a negative, so I'm going to add the opposite. So instead of minus, I'm going to plus. The thing I'm plussing is the opposite of minus 4. The opposite of minus 4 is 4. So 1 take away minus 4 is really the same as 1 plus 4. Starting at 1, moving up 4, it goes up to 5. What if I start with a negative value? So let's start with negative 4, and let's take away negative 7. I'm still going to start with negative 4. Instead of subtracting a negative, I'm going to add its opposite. So I'm going to just do the opposite of the opposite, basically. Instead of subtracting, I'm going to add. What's the opposite of minus 7? Well, the opposite of minus 7 is 7. So I've really got minus 4 plus 7. So if I start with minus 4 and I go up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I arrive at 3. So minus 4 plus 7 is 3. We'll do one more example of the same thing. What if this time I start at minus 5 and I take away minus 2? So minus negative 5, take away or subtract negative 2. Again, if I subtract a negative, I add the opposite. So minus 5, I'm subtracting a negative, so I will add the opposite. starting from -5 and adding 2. I start from -5 and I go up 2 and end up with -3. When I subtract a negative, I add the opposite.